welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for your continued support. It really means a lot to me. So today we are going to be talking about this sentence right here. There are no opportunities in Africa. This is something that I've heard people say from time to time regarding the continent. And so I wanted to discuss it to see, if that is still the case or have times changed. So, why do people say that? I think one of the big reasons they say that is because there are limited job opportunities in Africa, and I don't mean to generalize. I know Africa is a continent, not a country, but the same could be said of many of the countries in Africa that job opportunities are limited. That's true. That's probably, consistent across the board. The other big reason why people say there's no opportunities in Africa is because even if you do get a job, the job you get might only have a very small salary, and in many cases, those salaries are not a livable income, For example, we know in Ethiopia, the average salary is maybe 2,000 to 5,000 birr, but then the rent might be 10,000 birr a month or more, and so it just doesn't match up. So I can understand those two reasons. I think those are the biggest reasons why people say there's no opportunities in Africa. Maybe to a lesser extent, a third reason could be, government regulations and laws are, too restrictive and don't allow for, business or different things to take place. But, generally, I think the two big reasons are limited job opportunities and low income from those jobs. And that's not something that I would disagree with. I think that we can all say that that is true, and that does limit opportunity in Africa. However, what's the solution for those people? In many cases, people choose to go to a Western nation like the US or Canada, Australia, the UK, or something like it, in order to seek job opportunities to make a livable salary, and hopefully they can make enough that they'll be able to save and send it back to their home country. I think in the past, I would have agreed with that solution and probably even encouraged people to go that route. It made sense that if there aren't jobs or enough income in your country, to go somewhere else where there are jobs and where there is income. And in many cases, those Western nations not only had income, but their currencies were much stronger than the currencies in Africa. So, it made sense in the past. However, I would say that the world is changing. It has changed and it is continuing to change. Africa as a whole has become a lot more developed than it used to be. I was amazed basically at the changes and developments that I saw in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, when we were there last month. The parks are exquisite. They are immaculate. They're clean, pristine. I mean, it is really amazing to see something like that in Ethiopia. Not only the parks, the museums were fascinating. And now Ethiopia, and specifically Addis, has always had museums, but there are new ones that display all of the development and technological advances that have taken place within that country. So, when we were there were things that were in existence that had not been when we were there 5 years ago. It was just amazing to see the rapid transformation and the rapid change. And so, even mentioning technology, I would say Africa has caught up with many of the Western nations in the field of technology. Many of the things that are available abroad are also available on the continent. And again, that was not the case in times past, So there's something to be said about what is happening on the continent. And in contrast, these Western nations that I had listed are actually experiencing economic downward spiral. You know, their economies are being shaken right now. They're bracing for recession and hard times, many of them. If you've seen in the news, like France is literally on fire with riots and everything that's going on there, you know, so the tables have turned to some degree, I would say. And, you know, I think that if we don't recognize that, if we keep our eyes on the past, we won't see the present and the way that opportunities have grown in Africa and the way that the tables have turned, you know. We can't be so focused on the past that we actually completely miss what is happening, because there are people who are very aware of what's happening, China to be one of them. And they are taking advantage of those opportunities. So as a result of all of that I had just said, I would say that in present day, as of now, there are more opportunities that exist in Africa than they do in the Western nations. You know, that is not something that probably anyone would have said 10, 15, 20 beyond years ago, you know, but it's a clear indication that we are in a new day right now. So, you know, that is why you even see a lot of people coming back to the continent. You know, those who had left for the greater opportunities abroad are now returning. You know, I've heard of people leaving Canada, the US, Australia, Europe, all of those nations to return to Ethiopia specifically and to build a home there, you know. It used to be like, people would say, are you crazy? Why would you want to go back to Ethiopia? Or why would you want to go back to Africa? Like, you've already made it. Like, you're here in America, or you're here in Europe. Like, why would you go back? And there are still some people who believe that way, but there's a growing group of people who say that is very smart, you know, who are seeing those people moving back to the continent as wise people, making wise investments. And I think more of us should begin to look at them that way. Even if it's not your choice to go back to the continent, I don't think we are in a place right now where we can criticize one another for making that decision. Because as I just laid out, there are very valid reasons to do so. You know, it's no longer, you know, we have to leave Africa in order to see success. So how can we capitalize on those opportunities that exist on the continent? Well, the first way I would say is to change your mindset. You know, that's just what I was talking about, is you have to change the way that you see the world, change the way you see Africa, and stop looking at, you know, the Western nations as the only way that you can achieve success or that you can achieve wealth. That is no longer the case. You know, the Western nations, they still offer what they have to offer, I guess, but, you know, I don't see them as the end all be all. The only way to be successful is to be in America, or the only way to be successful is to be in Europe. I don't see that anymore, you know, and I think there are a lot of you out there that would agree with me. So we have to change our mindset, and we have to start looking for ways to partner with one another. You know, I think we shouldn't try to take advantage of, you know, our brother or sister. Like, look for ways to partner with genuine and honest people, and then you yourself be a genuine and honest person to partner with. And I think we can rebuild the trust that was lost between brothers and sisters in the diaspora as a whole. You know, that we can rebuild those bridges, rebuild those broken relationships, you know. Even within Ethiopia itself, there is, to some degree, a lack of trust between one another. And if you're Ethiopian, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. People find it difficult to trust one another. They think somebody might try to take advantage of them, you know, and that is not the case for everybody, obviously. There are plenty of Ethiopians that I know and can trust with probably my children. Like, you know, like that, they're very amazing people and great people. But I know that on some level, you know what I'm talking about and where I'm coming from. You know, we've heard stories of people who went abroad and sent money to family members or sent money to close friends, and they asked them, you know, can you buy land for me or build a house for me, or, you know, make an investment for me. And then when they come to Ethiopia to see what the person has done with their money, the money's gone. You know, that person spent it on themselves. So we know that that is an issue, and I'm saying we have to change that mindset. That is the first way we're going to be able to maximize these opportunities that exist, is by changing our mindset. The second way that I would say we can maximize or capitalize on these opportunities would be to use your opportunities to create more opportunity for others, right? So this applies specifically to the people who have been abroad when the Western economies were strong and much further ahead of the African ones. You know, now those of us who are looking to come back are coming back with a certain amount of resources. And so I think instead of looking only to invest on yourself, I think it would be wise for us as a whole if we look for opportunities to create opportunities for others, to create jobs for others, to create income for others. And in fact, doing that has even slowed down our own house construction progress to some degree, you know? So we are not only willing to tell other people to do it, but we're also willing to do that, you know? And like I said, we're generating some ideas right now to help others in the diaspora who are not related to us, who may not know us personally, because we do have a genuine desire to see all of Africa lifted up, you know, but for us, specifically Ethiopia, because that's where, you know, we have ties to. But yeah, so if you are a person who is moving from the diaspora back home to the continent, I encourage you as well to look for opportunities to create jobs and ways for people to generate income as well. I would also add to that there are opportunities that exist on the continent and that have always existed. The problem has been that the people who get the opportunity, right, to get the opportunity to go abroad or get the opportunity to buy land or be given land by the government in the country, whatever the case may be, people unfortunately don't look for ways to help their brother or sister, and they take the opportunity that they've gotten and they only use it for themselves. For example, you'll see people driving around with 10 million, 7 to 10 million birr cars, you know? And that's just, is it necessary? Like, I get it, it's your money, you can do what you want with it. But I just feel like there are ways that you can have the life that you want and also, you know, help another person and do good for another person. You know, spending 10 million birr on a vehicle, it just doesn't seem wise, especially as somebody who's in the US and knows that they're not even worth that much money, you know? So I would just say, as a whole, like, those are the two ways that I think we can maximize on these opportunities that do exist on the continent of Africa. We need to change our mindset, and we need to look for ways to help one another with the opportunities and create opportunities for others. So I don't want to go too long on this video. I hope it was helpful. Maybe it started to get your brain turning about, you know, what you could do to create jobs or create opportunity for others. And I look forward to hearing your ideas and, as always, discussing respectfully in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next one, and thanks for watching. Bye.